What's going on, everyone? Today we are taking a look at a new e-bike that I'm very excited to review. This is the Aniioki A8 Pro Max. Late last year I reviewed another bike from Aniioki that was their AQ177 Pro Max. These bikes are very similar, but this is a step over version. It has a few different specs and as you can see, a little bit different design as well. The main selling point of this e-bike is definitely this gigantic 52 volt 60 amp hour battery. In most cases, a traditional large battery e-bike is somewhere around 20 amp hours. So this is triple that at 60 amp hours. This is going to give you a real world range of up to 100 miles or even more depending on your speed. Even if you're going full throttle, the entire time you're still going to get about 50 to 70 miles out of this battery, which is insane for an e-bike. This is kind of crossing over into e-motorcycle territory with that kind of a battery size and range. So let me go ahead and pop this out so you can see how big this massive battery is. Oh man, hard to carry with one hand. Monster battery. I don't remember the exact weight, but I think it's something like 34 or 38 pounds. Absolute beast of a battery. You could do some weightlifting with this. Just insane battery size to be in an e-bike. This is a heavy e-bike at 101 pounds, but I just checked the specs and this is 33 pounds alone. So taking out this battery makes the bike a lot more easier and more normal in a sense that it's not so heavy that you can't move it around or lug it up and down stairs. So if you're transporting this e-bike, definitely remove that battery first to make it a lot easier. All right, so coming to the back of the bike, we have a 1000 watt motor with a peak of 1400 watts. This also has 90 Newton meters of torque. So despite being a heavy bike, this motor should be able to push it along very quickly, no problem at all. Looking at the brakes, we have 180 millimeter hydraulic disc brakes. As you can see, a very, very beefy disc brake back here. The only other bike that I've seen this on is the other model from Aniioki. Other than that, this is definitely a very, very large motor that no other e-bike has. And then the brake brand is this one here, which is DIY Island. Same brakes as the AQ177 Pro. Looking at the tires, we have a 20 by 4 inch Chow Yang fat tire. And as you can see here, we have a large front fork suspension in the front. And then we have this dual shock rear suspension over here as well. So it is a dual suspension e-bike, which in my opinion is definitely needed when you're going with a bike that's this heavy. Coming to the back, we have a nice and beefy rear rack here that's rated for 44 pounds. But judging by how well and strong this feels, I'm sure it can probably carry more than that, but their official rating is 44 pounds. And then the bike itself has a max rating of 350 pounds total. Looking at the seat, we have a very unique banana seat here that I have not seen on any other e-bike. It has a leather covering on it. Feels nice and plush, but I haven't tried it yet, so we'll see how that feels in a little bit. One thing to note is this does have an extra large seat post, and it looks like it has a custom mount for the seat as well. So this is kind of you get what you get situation with the seat, and you're not able to change this out. You could probably put something on top of it if you wanted to make it a little more comfortable, but you cannot switch out the seat with another one as far as I know. Taking a look at the lights, you have a front headlight, which looks like it should have plenty of output. And then coming to the back, you have a rear tail light, which also lights up when you brake as well. Coming up to the bars, you have a half twist throttle. You have a 7-speed Shimano shifter. And then over here, you just have your controller. And then in the center, you have a nice color screen. What's cool about this is you can't turn on this screen from just using this button. Instead, included with the bike, which is not something I've seen before either, is this little remote here. It kind of looks like a car key fob. And then in order to turn on this bike, you need to push this button 2 times and that'll turn on the bike. So pretty cool little security feature. This also has a built-in alarm as well. So if you turn off the bike, lock it, set your alarms. This is a motion detector, so if you remove the bike, so as you can see, it'll start blaring, putting on the alarm if someone moves your bike. It is motion sensitive, so when you first move it once, it gives a little warning chime, and then when you continue to move it, that's when the alarm goes off. So nice included security features. I thought this was just a generic alarm that was included, kind of like the kind you could get from Amazon, but it's actually tied into the bike itself. So looking at the screen, there's not too much going on, but it is a nice color screen. Few different things you can change from there. You have your pedal assist up and down. I really wished it showed you voltage. Maybe there's a way to enable that, but as far as I can tell, you only get this battery icon here. Last but not least, this bike is also IP65 waterproof, so if you get caught riding in the rain or the snow, it's not going to be a problem as the bike is protected for that. And yeah, that about wraps up all the specs, so let's go ahead and take this on a ride and see how it performs. All right, so first impressions with the motor off. This is not the easiest bike to pedal. I mean, you don't feel the weight below you. It's not hard to move on pedals. It's just the seat's a little more wide, so I feel like my legs are kind of spread more apart. It's not really like a natural pedaling position. So if you need to, you can definitely pedal this bike, no problem. But in my opinion, because of how large the seat is, this is more of a throttle cruiser or light pedal assist and mostly speed from the bike kind of bike. Maybe over time it's something I can get used of, but right now it's definitely feels a little weird. But gearing feels good though. I feel like I'm nice and connected with the bike. So I think this bike would have been a whole lot better if they didn't have this proprietary seat stand, and like the AQ177, if you had the ability to change out your own seat. But other than that, this feels like a very comfortable bike, and the riding position, you kind of feel like you're on kind of like a small motorcycle. That's kind of the vibe I get from these bikes though, and I think that's kind of the whole target that we're trying to reach. It's kind of like a mini motorcycle feel, because when I want to ride an e-bike and get a near bike experience, that's why I ride another bike. But when I want to go out and cruise and just let it rip full throttle and not have to worry about range or anything, that's when I hop on my AQ177, and that's the perfect cruising bike. So if you're someone who wants an e-bike experience where it's close to a regular bike, this bike is definitely not for you. But just by looking at it, you should know already that this is not that kind of bike anyways. But for a little e-bike mini motorcycle cruiser, definitely a great one to look at. Suspension feels nice and plush. I'm going over a few potholes and cracks in the streets, and I barely feel anything at all. So in combination with the fat tires and the suspension, is definitely working very well. This is a heavy bike, so I wouldn't want to do any curb hopping or anything like that, but for regular commuting or some light off-roading, it'll definitely provide more than enough comfort. Let me go ahead and switch it up, see what this power is like. Ooh, flying now. Uphill. Didn't even sweat. Not that large of a hill, but still, usually on that hill, bikes usually slow down a little bit, but this one just kept pushing. It's tuned where there's not that much torque off the line, so as soon as you hit the throttle, it doesn't lunge you forward in a kind of a dangerous way. It's a nice and smooth start. And then once you pass about 12 to 14-ish, that's when it really starts picking up more and kind of taking off. So definitely a nice tuning there. I definitely like bikes that had that a lot better, because I've ridden a few e-bikes where I just tap the throttle and right away I feel like my whole body just jerks back and it wants to lunge me full speed, and that's just basically raw motor power, I guess, with no actual controller tuning or whatever they do inside. But this one has a nice slow start. It's not slow by any means. You're not feeling like you're starting too slowly, but it's a nice smooth start. Oh yeah, riding over all these cracks and bumps here, and I barely feel them. I hear them, but that's the suspension doing its job, and none of it really travels up to me that much. Doesn't feel that much of a heavy bike either. I guess because the battery's kind of centered, it doesn't throw you off balance or anything. Same when I'm turning, it doesn't feel heavy either. I would say though, it doesn't really feel like a bike. Just the way I feel and how it turns and handles, it gives me more of a motorcycle vibe. Maybe it's because of how the weight is heavier and, I don't know, like I said, lower to the ground or something, but definitely a very comfortable bike, but not a very bike feeling bike. All right, let me go ahead and give it some speed, try out these brakes. Get up to about 20-ish. Let's try that one more time. Okay, definitely worked very well. The first time it felt like it didn't grab much. But now that I broke them in a little bit and did a little more hard stopping, very, very good. Yeah, this one's working very, very well. The fact that this is such a heavy bike and is still able to stop me and skid my tires tells me that these are some good hydraulic brakes. In combination with those very heavy duty rotors, these brakes are definitely doing the job on this bike. All right, so let's go ahead and test out the speeds. So the throttle is attached to the pedal assist speed. So right now on pedal assist 1 is giving me a max of 12 miles per hour. Pedal assist 2, 16 miles per hour. Pedal assist 3, full throttle only. Looks like it's capping us at about 24 miles per hour. Switch it up to number 4. "28 miles per hour. Let me go ahead and find me a long stretch here and try it out on pedal assist 5, which is the top speed. All right, pedal assist 5, top speed run. Let's go. Let's see what we get. Very windy, so it looks like I capped out about 27. Let me go ahead and try it the other way and see if we can get more out of it. All right, got 30 miles per hour. If I stretched it a little longer, I probably could have touched 31, but that seems to be about the limit right there. I did lift up the rear tire and put this full throttle, and it was giving me a maximum of 32 miles per hour. So regardless of your weight, that's gonna be the fastest that tire is gonna spin. Might be a way to unlock it further, but I checked the settings and it looks like it was already maxed out. So unless someone knows the setting that I couldn't find, 32 miles per hour is most likely the most you're gonna get out of this bike, which is still plenty fast, by the way. Once you hit about 30, that's when you're no longer in e-bike territory, kind of moving over to like a slow moped, electric moped kind of speed. And if you're a new e-bike rider, I would not recommend riding at 30, because that's where every little movement matters a whole lot more. If you make a wrong little turn somewhere, you're more likely to fly and end up in a ditch or crash into something. For a new rider, I would recommend staying probably about 25 and under. Once you pass that 25, it feels a whole lot different. And like I said, you got to be more alert. I know there's guys out there that ride e-bikes going 60 and more with their Surons and whatnot, but that's a whole nother category. And personally, I haven't even tried those yet. 30 might not seem like very fast on a car, but once you're on a bike going 30, that 30 feels a lot more like 40 or 45. As I said earlier, the number one feature about this bike is the gigantic battery. I love having the AQ177 Pro Max, because that is the bike I can take out and go full throttle. I never once had to even consider range, because my longest trip is usually, well, my average trip is about 20 miles. And if I'm really feeling like riding, I'll go maybe 30, 40. And that battery, that range for that battery is absolutely nothing. That's just like, the battery laughs at me and still has a ton of range. And if I have a 20 amp hour e-bike and I'm going full throttle for even 20 miles, it's gonna get a little sketchy. I might not make it back with battery, but these, I can just floor it and go wherever I want, and range is never a concern. If you're someone that does crazy rides, you go on some marathon type length bike rides, and maybe you might be able to outride this bike, but for, I'm gonna say 95% of everyone out there, you're not gonna be able to outride this battery unless you specifically set a goal and really stretch yourself out to do that, because even 40, 50 miles on a bike, that's a lot to ride. And like I said, you can go full throttle on this, just flooring it 30 miles per hour the entire time, and you're still gonna get 50 to 60 depending on the terrain and all that and the weather. But yeah, just a monster incredible range. To the downside of that, the bike is not necessarily that portable anymore, but as I said earlier, just take out the battery and it's pretty much the weight of any other e-bike. A little bit more of a hassle to carry that large battery, but to be able to ride without any worries is definitely a trade-off that's worth it for me. I like the screen a lot better as well. On the AQ177, it has the black and white screen. and that one gets a little washed out when there's a bright sun out. This one has a lot more contrast. It's a lot more visible. So I definitely like this one a lot more. And the plus side, they do sell this screen separately. So if you have the AQ177, you could swap it out with this one as well. They have the same connectors and they work interchangeably. The seat's not that bad. I'm not sure how it would feel on a much longer ride, but right now it feels fine. I've been riding a few miles out here for maybe 30-40 minutes so far, and I don't feel any discomfort. Maybe for riding a few hours, then you might feel a little uncomfortable, but that applies with any seat. So yeah, not that bad of a seat. Not as uncomfortable as I thought it would be. Overall, I have no complaints with this bike. For what it is, it definitely checks all the boxes. Good brakes, good speed, good suspension. Everything feels very well made. I think this is just one of those bikes though where you've got to really set your expectations on what you're buying and what you're getting. If you go into getting this and you want a lightweight bike that could pedal very easily, then that's kind of a foolish thing to do. But I know there would be someone out there that would say, oh, this bike's hard to pedal or it's heavy. You know, that's not really the manufacturer's fault. You can't buy an SUV and get mad that it doesn't drive like a sports car. You just got to know what you're buying and know what you're getting. But yeah, as long as you know what you're getting with this bike and do your research, and if you know this is what you want, this is definitely a great e-bike. Again, this is an e-bike, but I'll put this much closer to like a moped, little mini motorcycle category. Yeah, so overall, definitely a solid bike. So if you happen to be looking for a nice cruiser, mini motorcycle e-bike, this one here is definitely a great bike to consider. All right, well, that about wraps up this video. As usual, if you have any questions at all, feel free to drop me a comment and let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.